What his right name is, I've never heard, but round here, he's known as Strider.
Aragorn is a man who, in his time, went by many names, played many and varied roles, and this was long before he was ever crowned as king. But in today's video, we will be looking at the question of, does Aragorn deserve to be king? Or better yet, was he a good king after all the promise he showed as a leader of men throughout The Lord of the Rings and before? Hello and welcome to The Broken Sword, your YouTube home for The Lord of the Rings and all things J.R.R. Tolkien. Now it's time to get into it.
Build me an army worthy of Mordor.
First things first, do not forget to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel so that you can join the ever-growing Brohirrim. If there is one lesson to be learned from the story of Aragorn, it is this.
There is always hope.
But when Aragorn arose, all that beheld him gazed in silence, for it seemed to them that he was revealed to them now for the first time. Tall as the sea kings of old, he stood above all that were near. Ancient of days he seemed, and yet in the flower of manhood. And wisdom sat upon his brow, and strength and healing were in his hands, and a light was about him. And then Faramir cried, "Behold the king!" Aragorn was born on March the 1st, 2931 of the Third Age, son to Arathorn II and the Lady Gilrain. He was noteworthy in his time for the positions he held long before he took the Elendilmere and sat it upon his brow, and as would be in keeping with his character, he rarely wore the crown that had been his forefathers. But as the last chieftain of the Dunedain, and a direct descendant of Isildur himself, he was the rightful heir to the high kingship of the formerly united kingdoms of Arnor and Gondor. In his lifetime, it may be argued his achievements are paralleled by few, if any at all. His greatness was predicted by none other than Elrond, Lord of Rivendell and his future father-in-law, but it would not come easily. Aragorn, Arathorn's son, Lord of the Dunedain, listen to me. A great doom awaits you, either to rise above the height of all your fathers since the days of Elendil, or to fall into darkness with all that is left of your kin. Many years of trial lie before you. You shall neither have wife nor bind any woman to you in troth until your time comes and you are found worthy of it. When Aragorn was 2, his father died when he was struck by a wayward orc arrow. After losing that father figure so early, he was fostered into Rivendell by Lord Elrond, who treated the boy as his own flesh and blood and gave him the name Estelle, a name which meant hope. By Elrond's orders, like a new father figure to him, he was kept in the dark as to his true identity and the weight that this would put upon his shoulders, as Elrond feared for the boy, not only that he might be killed, but that he might otherwise buckle under the pressure and miss out on the chance to grow up as normally as was possible in such circumstances. While he lived in Rivendell, he was often accompanying the sons of Elrond, Elladan and Elrohir on their journeys, learning the ways of the wider world and turning his heart to wisdom and to righteousness. It was in 2952, upon Aragorn's 21st birthday, that Elrond finally revealed all to this young man, his true name and his lineage. It was at this time that he was given the Shards of Narsil, not like shown in the Return of the King film. He also received the Ring of Barahir at this time too, as both were relics of his family and house which served to give his claim legitimacy if he ever pressed it. And this was a pretty busy time for Aragorn, as it was around here too that he would first meet Arwen upon her return from Lothlorien. He thought of her as the most beautiful being in Middle-earth, but it would not be so simple. He was told he would have to reunite Gondor and Arnor as High King to be allowed to wed her. Elrond remembered those words he had previously spoke. Aragorn would then spend time serving Theoden King's father, Thengel, in Rohan, as well as Denethor's father too in Gondor, his name being Steward Ecthelion II. However, both would know him by an alias, and that was of Thorongil. During these times though, Aragorn, or Thorongil, would learn much of leadership and these two great realms of men. If we fast forward a bit now though, at the time of the return of the king, Aragorn left to go to Dunharrow, where he meant to traverse the pass that led through the Dark Door and onto the Stone of Eric, where he summoned the dead and the accursed to come forth and honour their oath. The oath that was broken and led to their curse that could only be lifted by the heir of Isildur, by himself.
It has been remade.
Long story short, they honoured it. Aragorn and the Grey Company nullified the Corsairs, sailed up to Minas Tirith, and Aragorn led these people into a victory with his sword, the reforged blade that had been Narsil, held high above his head. But now that sword would bear a new name, Andúril, the Flame of the West, another symbol of who Aragorn truly was. Aragorn did not take the city at this time though, however. Rather, he appointed Prince Imrahil head of the city and retired to the Houses of Healing himself, and in doing so he showed that he was not above the law, and that his mind was on the wounded and the casualties still coming in, rather than his own glory and taking that crown as soon as possible. There, Aragorn would heal the likes of Faramir, Éowyn, and Merry too. The prophecy that the hands of the king would be the hands of a healer, and thus the rightful king, will be known, and this caught on and spread by word of mouth throughout the city. Consulting them with his friends, Gandalf, Éomer, Imrahil, and the sons of Elrond, it was decided that they would play into Sauron's fears, and his erroneous assumption that Aragorn was in possession of the One Ring, and that he was intended to use it against Sauron to supplant him. Rather, this was a way to distract what attention might be turned to Frodo and the ring, and so ensued the Battle of the Morannon. Though the scene with the mouth of Sauron in the book is quite different to, well, this one.
It takes more to make a king than a broken elvish blade.
Definitely was not this violent in the way it was written. When the ring is undone by Gollum's own treachery, Orodruin belched forth flames and sickness as Sauron was thrown down again, and Aragorn returned to the capital in triumph, finally accepting a position that he had sought in all his efforts and deeds to someday earn, so that he would not rule merely by the chaos and consequence that is birth, but rather by worthiness and true royal bearing. A king that saw first the tending of his people, and the ordering of the newly reunited kingdoms of Gondor and Arnor. A few days after his coronation, Gandalf took Elessar to the slopes of Mount Mindolluin, where they found one of the seeds of Nimloth, the White Tree, the symbol of power in the reunited kingdom. Elrond and Arwen would arrive in Gondor too, and Elrond gave Elessar the Scepter of Annúminas, the formal symbol of power in Arnor. And so, in the summer of 3019, King Elessar married Arwen and then said goodbye to his friends. With the advent of the Fourth Age, and with the Ringbearers leaving Middle-earth forever, he returned to his new kingdom as the true king.
Now come the days of the king.
So with as brief of a life story as you can give on someone like Aragorn until he becomes king, you really do start to get that idea of what set the foundations to the answer for our question. One of his first tasks with that crown upon his head was the restoration of the kingdom, and one of the many, many jobs within this was to repair Orthanc and return that of the Orthanc stone to this tower. Thanks to this, many secrets and treasures were revealed, including the Elendilmere, which Saruman had taken from the corpse of Isildur. Elessar gladly accepted and took this with him, thus establishing complete control over Arnor, and he had finally done a job no one had done in centuries. He reunited these great kingdoms. Aragorn gave his lieutenant Faramir the title of Master of Emin Arnon, and the Prince of Ithilien too. He declared the Forest of Druedan the property of the Druedain and territory under protection of his kingdom. He re-established the Great Council of Gondor, the chief councillor of which was the governor. Reunite Cirion's oath with Éomer, now king of Rohan. The Shire was declared a free land under the protection of the Northern Scepter and forbade people to enter the territory of the Hobbits if not invited. Elessar appointed Thane, Master of Buckland and Mayor of Michal Dalvin as advisors to the Northern Kingdom too. He did not by any means sit back on his laurels. He strove to make Gondor and Arnor great again, to make Middle-earth great again.
Let us together rebuild this world.
that we may share in the days of peace.
King Elisar would rule until his death at the age of 210 after 122 years on the throne, with then his son Eldarion succeeding him. You could see that his life gives us that answer to whether he was a good king or not. Aragorn could have lived a life of privilege, basically being a celebrity, demanded what his blood gave him, and never earned a single stone of what made up Minas Tirith. But he did not. He rather lived a life of thankless service, often in service with blood and sweat to people who did not know nor would ever know his true name. Not even when he became king did he make people aware of past deeds so that he could be hailed for them. He did not serve for glory, for accolades, but out of the goodness of his heart and character. He is one of whom it can be safely said, we shall not see the likes of him again. In time, he will become the standard to which future kings are always compared, the one that no one can live up to, as Elendil and Alros had been in their time, and history will forever remember the name of the king who returned and drove off the darkness, healed the sick, and gave renewed hope to his people. As a king, Aragorn did nothing just for himself, not even anything just for his own direct kingdom. He produced acts that made all of Middle-earth better. Whether man, hobbit, dwarf or elf, Aragorn's decisions would have been made for all. He restored realms to their former glory and even increased some to the levels that they had debatably never reached before. And again, all without asking for anything in return, except perhaps advice and counsel when he wished it. He may have been without his parents for much of his life, but he had been left in the care of an elf, and not just any elf, but one of the wisest to ever step foot on the shores of Middle-earth. By having his earliest years thinking he was nothing special, he could develop a mindset of strength, not one being told he is the greatest from day one. He had to earn things, he had to develop his own skills, and he had to make himself into a good man without anything on a silver platter. Loyalty was held so tightly by Aragorn, and he earned the loyalty of everyone he dealt with. It was not like he asked for the throne, no, he was asked to take it. Basically begged to in some circumstances. He moulded himself into a man more than worthy of reclaiming the throne, and he let nothing go to his head once he had it. He kept doing things right, helping everyone he could, and never forgot what made him the man that he had become. When Elrond spoke to him when he was young, he was told he had two paths. He could go to one of greatness, but he must earn it, or he could end up going down a horribly dark path that was really the opposite. He chose the way of good, he rose to the challenges, he moulded himself into the man that would become king.
By all that you hold dear, I bid you stand! Men of the West!
So there we have it. Was Aragorn a good king? Well, he was a fine military commander, but an even better leader of men. He is sympathetic, filled with empathy and understanding, kind and tender-hearted, though he can steel himself in those moments when arrows start to fly as well. He gets all levels of people, whether you live in the grandest of halls or the grittiest of taverns, as he himself had gone through all of these stages too. He knew there was far more to ruling than just doing what he may think is best. He knew there was more than what went on simply within his direct borders. Every being in Middle-earth mattered, none of them deserved to be trodden on, and he made sure to lift everyone he could up as high as they could go. So was he a good king? I would actually say no. He was a great king, maybe even the best we have ever seen. When you get to read the stories of a man as good as someone like Aragorn, it makes you wish there were more people like this in real life. But sadly, very few of this caliber of people will ever exist. And that is what makes a man such as Aragorn not just a good king, not just a great king, but a great person. With that now though, it is time for my question of the day, which is, do you agree with me that Aragorn was not just a good king, but a great one? Do you think actually, when it came to it, he wouldn't have been that good at ruling? He was one of those that was better at leading things in times of war, but when things were peaceful, things may have been different. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on this in the comment section down below. And now to shout out our patrons. You guys have been incredible in supporting our short film, and we cannot thank you enough. We have the Divine Power tier members of Kevin and Abram, the Fire Demon tier members of Nishith and Gregory, and the Wizard Staff tier members of John, Andrew, Jennifer, Hunter, and David too. Every single one of you is a true legend of the Brohirrim. Finally, if you have managed to reach the end of the video with me today and you are enjoying what you see on the channel, please hit that subscribe button with the bell icon too, so that you can be notified of all future uploads. And so, thank you for spending just some of your time with me today, and I will see you next time on The Broken Sword.